Hey, everybody, I'm April Woodard, and for the last 4 weeks, I've been producing Conversations in Chaos, trying to wrap my head around what's been going on in our world from COVID-19 to the heinous murder of George Floyd and Rayshard Brooks, and the more than 20 days of protests. And we've explored mental health, we've talked about race and unrest, law and disorder, and tonight I wanted to get a different perspective. This is Conversations in Chaos, one-on-one with Marlon Wayans. Well, he comes from comedic royalty, the famous Wayans family, and he has been working in the industry as a producer, writer, actor. He'll be in the film Respect, which is scheduled to drop in December about Aretha Franklin. Marlon, hey, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, you got it. What's up, April? How you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm doing
You
well.
sound all you sound all professional, girl. You don't really talk like this.
I
What you
know
doing?
because,
Oh, you've known Marlon from Wayans, brother. Oh, girl, you don't even talk like that. You like Marlon crazy.
I know. Well, I wasn't sure where to bring it, so I tried to bring it somewhere in the middle. People are used to seeing me on TV every day, and
Oh,
but
it's
you
all
get
good.
exposure to like the real me. So it's somewhere in between, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
It's a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
A little bit of this, a little bit of that. So I got to ask you,
Yeah.
Marlon. I mean, stuff has been crazy in the last few weeks. And, like we explored mental health, we talked about race. And really, I started this conversations in chaos for myself because I was like, I need to talk to some of my friends. I need to figure out what's going on. I need to talk to an expert and explain what white privilege is and be able to explain it to my allies and be able to explain microaggressions, and those types of things. And then, of course, we had George Floyd, and I'm like, whoa. So I just want to know where you are emotionally and mentally with everything that's been going on.
Um, I just feel like this world is it's at its point of reset. And I think everybody looks at all that's going on as a bad thing. I always look at tragedy and know that on the other side of tragedy comes triumph. So I'm looking forward. These things that happen are supposed to happen. It's God's will.
Yeah.
And as long as we take this ball and we carry it a step further, then I think we're doing what we're supposed to do in this moment. I think we've had moments like this and we didn't push the ball far enough. And I really respect and appreciate all that the forefathers did to get us where we are. But now collectively, the youth and this generation and elder, statesmen, it's time to push stuff forward and get some legislation. This goes so much further than cops and minorities. This has to do with systemic racism, and this has to do with the laws. This has to do with the amendments. This is so much deeper. There was no black people at the table when they drew up the Declaration of Independence.
Oh, yeah.
There was Jackson there, but he wasn't black. He had a last name to sound black, but he wasn't black. It was in Washington. There's a name that sound black. Listen, ain't no black people on no money. You know what I mean? There's no black presidents on no money. We're just now trying to play catch up, but we are 400 years behind, and it's literally it's not fair to to us as a people, and it's not fair to others around us for us to we're playing catch up, and there's so much that we have to do. So the police represent the government. So these racist things that come from police really is drawn up from our government, and they give them permission and they give them the authority to be this way to our people. So
Right.
we need to change the legislation, and we have to understand our power in our voting. We have to understand, and then not just for presidents, but for chiefs, police, for mayors, for councilmen, for all these things, for DAs. Like we have so much more power than we think we have, and I think that we have to start exercising that. We have to exercise the power of our money. I just think like they stripped us of anything that we had in terms of a system to better our people. We are so behind the eight ball because now they've taken away the programs that help the kids stay out the hood. They're just
Yeah.
creating criminal after criminal after criminal because we grew up I'm a project bunny. I was raised in the projects. And I can tell you that the way they raise you it's like a prison.
Mm.
Thank God my dad being a strong black man who was a hard worker, and my brother who was a strong black man who had a dream and a vision for a profession and taught us to dream outside the box. And my dad taught us hard work ethic, and my mother raised us with these morals and these values. Thank God we had that team to get us out of there. And from that, my whole family got out of there.
Right.
But it takes so much, and now they strip the programs. There's no more after school programs. Trump came in and killed all of that. You know what I mean? And to me, those are things that keep you out of trouble. We need to learn financial literacy.
Right.
Beyond just literacy, we need to know if we get $1, how do we turn that dollar into $2 without doing it illegally?
Right. Right.
How do we get a loan? Like, how do we pay the loan back? What do we do with the money? Like, when you buy real estate, how do I take money out of my house to go buy another property? It could be, there's so much that we need to learn that we don't know, but because we're playing catch up.
Yeah.
And we're working hard and doing manual labor. But now that you're making money, what do we do with the money? So it's a whole mentality, philosophy that goes in to just trying to, to become equals. And I think that, this next regime, this regime ain't going to do it.
Yeah.
They're not going to do it. And I'm not saying that I'm talking a brick wall. I'm willing to put on a suit and go with, a 500 of my brothers and sisters in this industry and other industries to go sit down in Washington face to face with this administration and look for some change.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, there's just so many layers, and it's just so each time you kind of chip away a little bit, there's another layer, there's another brick to try to get to. And I want to redirect to a little bit to what's been going on in the news lately. Yesterday in Atlanta, of course, the police officer Garrett Ralph, who shot Rayshard Brooks, was charged with 11 criminal charges, felony murder. He also kicked him after he shot him. And,
Wow.
And there have been some call outs from cops in Atlanta, officers, because they're upset about the charges. According to the prosecutor, the second officer, Devin Brosman, stood on Brooks' shoulder after he was shot. They try to say that it was because he had a concussion. So, and then we found out that Ralph's record, the officer who shot Brooks, said that he had a use of firearms disciplinary action in 2016. And then there was another hit on his record regarding gun use in 2015 with no disciplinary action. Are you surprised at all hearing all of this information that's coming forth now?
No, It's not surprising because you understand, like, America is, this is all based on checks and balances. And there is no check and balance system when it comes to police. Police need to be policed. They need a check and balance system. You can't just give somebody a gun and give them unilateral authority and expect them to behave right and be morally correct. They're not going to do that. They need to be checked. They need to, there need to be somebody that goes, hey, what's going on here? Police need to be policed. And that's the reality of it. And the DAs is their buddies. And, and look, I'm not going to wage a war against police because this goes beyond police. This is systemic racism. This has to do with our government. It goes beyond the police. The police only represent what the government and the lawmakers will them to do.
Yeah.
So that's what we need to attack. We need to, and it's like, I know cops. Like, I have a lot of friends that are cops. Not every cop is a racist cop. Not every cop is a bad cop. My friend is a chief of police in New York. He's a brother, Jeff Madry. I grew up with Jeff. I've known Jeff since I was 14 years old. He's a great dude. Puts out a lot of fires. That he was just on CNN for the work he was doing to dismantled when things was getting a little hot. He found a
Right.
peaceful solution. So, and understand, sometimes when you call on them and they come to your aid. I've had other cops that come to my aid when things have happened. Sergeant Jeff Bishop and LAPD. They're not all bad. There's bad cops. There's bad white people. There's bad black people.
Oh yeah.
There's a bad person in every uniform and every skin color. There's bad soldiers. So what I don't want to do is become racist myself.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think it's important that when it comes to giving people authority, that we check the moralities of that person. I think the test needs to be harder. We really need to test these people a lot more strenuously than we have. You can't just put a uniform on somebody, give them a gun, and expect them not to be the person that they are. It needs to be a longer process. And in the meantime, I think, like, for me, I just think, it's bigger than police, man. This is government. We were brought here as slaves, and we are not a part of any law that's ever been made. They've never been made in our favor. There's been a few, and it's time that we rewrite this Constitution because it doesn't service us.
Right. Right. For sure. I want to get to some questions because people are asking questions while we're talking. Marlon, Lori B says, Mr. Wayans, I agree with the fact that we're continually playing catch up. How do you overcome this type of obstacle and help teach your community the things that you've learned?
Well, I think it starts with individuals. You can't, to me, it's an individual effort that becomes a collective effort. Strong individuals make for a strong team. My brother Keenan and my dad raised a bunch of strong Black men who all take care and take pride in raising their family. We can't abandon our children. All these young fathers out there that have children, and you're not there to guide them, to have those talks. You're throwing them to the wild.
Yeah.
We need to take responsibility for teaching our next generation, because they're going to teach the next generation, and they're going to teach the next generation. And once we get our things right, you get a bunch of brothers that got their stuff in order, then make a collective effort to go change a system. But I always let's look at the mirror and not the magnifying glass, because we need to individually get better. We need to get better. We need to get stronger. And then we need to holler at the brother next to us. And then we need to unify. And then we need to help create these programs and make sure we hire each other and make sure that we put people in the right places in terms of the financial world and CEOs and talking to the billionaires that want to create these companies. And, we have to do better, and we have to learn to communicate better. There's things that we have to just get better at, and that's okay. That's okay to go, I can be better. And that's what our everyday effort should be. And let's not, I don't want to go to anybody. Black people have a lot of pride. We don't want to go nowhere with our hat in our hand. That's what makes us a great race, because look how far back we were. Look at where we are. Look how many Black billionaires we have now. Let's not spit on our forefathers that did it before us because we don't like the way they did it. White people have heroes. Why don't we embrace ours? Why don't we celebrate ours? That's what we need to do more of. We all busy 4th of July cracking fireworks. Hey man, what about Juneteenth?
Right.
That's
Tomorrow.
what we need to celebrate.
Tomorrow.
Yes, that's what we need to celebrate. We need to wear all black and throw some fireworks and enjoy ourselves and really appreciate that day, because all these brothers out here celebrating 4th of July. Yeah, America was free, but we were still slaves.
That's right. That's right. So are you doing anything for tomorrow? You doing anything for Juneteenth?
Oh, I'm partying. I'm calling Terrence, and we're going to throw an all-black party.
You're talking about Terrence J?
Oh, that guy, yeah.
Okay, y'all are still friends.
Yeah, we still friends. He just, here's the thing. I told him, I said, man, you stepped on a landmine. It was like watching Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck doing rabbit season, duck season. Rabbit season, duck season. No, duck season. Pow! And he shot his beak off.
Yeah.
It's like, look, he was a little faded. And it's just like, and I get what he was saying. He's trying to be funny. But when it came to that, it's just like, whoa, it's the tribe. You know what I mean? It's like,
Right.
you my man, but that's the tribe. And there's no way to you stepped in quicksand. There's no way to get out. So
Yeah.
I drove to his house because it was all in jest. It's just that he didn't find the funny in it. He's not a comedian. I could say certain things like that. Me
Right.
and him could say the same thing. And me and my boy Omar Epps, we went to college, high school together. Omar could say something that's so offensive. If I said the same thing, people laugh and Marlon crazy because I'm a comedian by trade.
Right.
So I
Right.
know how to do it and make everybody laugh.
Right.
But when you're not, familiar with the territory, you step on a landmine, bow, you blow your beak off. But
Right.
yes, we're still friends, and we actually thought of a great podcast. We're going to spin it into a podcast for the two of us.
Okay, good. Well, for people who don't know what we're talking about, we kind of got off topic. Look it up, Google it. Terrence J, who I used to work with at BT. So please tell him I said hello. And
That's my man. I saw him yesterday.
Please
Now,
tell him I've been trying to get him.
He stood me up for dinner, but I saw him yesterday at a party.
I'm trying to get him to talk to my students at Hampton University. So pick up the phone. Okay, so let's get back on.
Absolutely. After he talks to the Howard students.
Okay.
We're joking.
All
All
right.
family.
Okay, so
all one family.
One of the
real HU, ready? The real HU is the
you know what? See, we said we weren't going to go there.
The real HU is not Howard. It's not Hampton. The real HU is HBCUs. Those are the real ones.
Perfect. Okay, I'm taking a question from an HU student who says, how do you keep people from being angry and hurt? She says that a lot of her peers have so much anger and hurt built up, and it's definitely taking a toll on their mental state. You got to remember, these kids left school in March. They just went back to get their stuff like a week ago.
I think, for me, I think it's a rewiring of self. Like, I never look at my worst moment as my worst moment. Okay. I look at it as the beginning of my best moment. So instead of being hurt, I try to take my pain, take my anger, take my frustration, and I try to do something creative with that energy. It's all energy. The amount of energy it takes for you to break a glass and steal a Gucci bag is the same amount of energy it would take for you to write a letter to Washington. It's the same amount it takes you to loot. You could do the same thing in March, just a lot slower, and it's a lot more, much more of a stronger message. You as the youth, you guys have so much power, but it's about being peaceful. Don't let them look at us like we're animals because you're killing the message. And that's what they're putting carrots out there. Don't take the carrots. I know you're angry. I know you're hurt. But see, when I was 19, I might have done that. But I'm a 47-year-old grown-ass man. And I sit there and I have 2 children. And I try to tell them, it's about peaceful protest. That's the thing that got things done. If you look at what Martin and Malcolm and those brothers did, it was the peaceful protest. It was not the riots that got things changed. It was the peaceful protest. It was the marching. It was the love that we put out, that we got some love back. So let's continue that march. Let's take the baton. Let's take it a step forward, because this generation is so much more articulate than I can ever be. You guys are so much more creative. You have so much more things at your hands that you understand. This is your world to inherit. So do something with it. Be a part of change, but be a part of change the right way.
Okay.
Be effective.
I'm going to push back a little bit, Marlon. As a journalist, I do not condone violence. But I have heard people say that during the civil rights movement, it wasn't until people started seeing children hurt, those 4 little girls, and they started seeing the hoses and the dogs on African Americans, when they started seeing the violence, that people actually stood up and started paying attention. So what do you say to people who are like, well, we can march all day and hold up our arms and make noise, but it isn't until somebody's building is messed up that people start paying attention and saying, oh, well, let's get rid of Aunt Jemima, or let's get rid of Uncle Ben, or let's start changing legislation.
It wasn't when the buildings.
I'm just saying some people will push back.
It wasn't when the buildings got messed up. When we watched a man sit on another man's neck with his knee for 9 minutes and 46 seconds, that changed the world. Now we have phones. When we watch a brother taking a nap at Wendy's because he's too drunk to drive, trying to be responsible, gets pulled over by cops, and he's respectful to the police officers. They could have took that man home. Everybody knows they could have took that man home. They could have let him run away and came and got him the next day. There's so many other. You didn't have to take that man from his family. Take him, drop him off at his sister's house. See, that's a bad person. We're witnessing bad people. When you see the Karens, I'm gonna call the cops, because you're calling the cops because you're hoping that they come and kill you. Do you hate me that much? But see, that's not every white person. Now it's different. What we have, if you look over, I was at the marches. I've been down there. I've been down there a few times. And I look to my left and I see white people kneeling with me, chanting with me. I see Hispanic people kneeling with me, chanting with me. Asian people in back of me. I look on Facebook and I look at London. I look at Brazil. I look at Sweden. See, Black Lives Matter is become an infection. Because I remember when it was just local.
Right.
Yeah. So now we're making the noise. And the more hate that we show and it becomes viral, the more noise it makes, that makes the pressure come on these lawmakers to start, and these companies to start doing something different. And we're making strides. We're making strides because of this collective effort. But it's not because you burnt the building that people are listening.
Right.
It's because their hate is so loud that love is coming to extinguish it. You can't love is going to beat everything. But we just got to stay unified. We got to stay peaceful. We got to keep protesting. We can't accept, because look, everybody's celebrating because these cops got charged.
Not convicted, just charged.
Right. So let's chill out until we see convicted.
Yeah.
That's when we're making change. That's when the next officer is going to be like, before I shoot this guy, my life may be in jeopardy. And they may strip me from my family and put me on death row. So let me not fire this off. Now at the same time, I mean, look, there's so many different ways to view this. At the same time, we have to also, at a point, you can't hate cops. They have a job to do.
Right. Yeah.
They have a job to do. And sometimes they actually are heroes. So, there's a fine balance, and it's trying to find out. It's about weeding out the bad apples and getting rid of those. And it's about really celebrating the good ones.
Yeah. And you talked a little bit about you hitting the streets. So we have some stills of you actually protesting with Terrence J. There's you by yourself. And then I think there's another one. Is that Terrence J with you? Yeah.
That's
so
Terrence
tell
J.
me.
And that first one was from probably 5, maybe 7 years ago. The one on top, that's about 5-7 years ago. We've been screaming, baby, I've been screaming Black Lives Matter for the past, I can't tell you how long. And it's good that finally people are starting to catch on. And I'm hearing people of a different color scream Black Lives Matter. And that's a movement. And, let's continue that movement. And now it's not just about walking in these streets. We need to all march to Washington. Everybody, we need to all get down to Washington, and we need to have a sit-in on DC until they make some changes, because changes need to be done in this legislation. It goes beyond the cops. It goes beyond these convictions. This has to be changed. We need programs put in place to better our people. We need financial literacy. We need programs to keep kids off the streets so we're not creating young thugs and drug dealers. We did, I went, and it's on us as celebrities. Go back to your hood. Fix your hood. As an individual, I can affect my family. I take care of my family, right? That's first. But then my second family is where I grew up. I'm a rose that came from the concrete. So I go back to that concrete and I start planting other roses and seeds. And I went back and I took my money. I didn't buy a watch. I didn't buy a car. I took a bunch of money and I rebuilt the gym in my community so that those kids had somewhere to go to stay off the streets. I try to do what I can for because the project still exists. I try to do what I can for my neighborhood, because if I rescue one, maybe he can rescue his whole family like my brother rescued ours and my dad rescued ours. So it's about individuals making that effort and knowing that we have power. Let's use our money the right way. Forget about the chains and you got 10 cars. One of those cars could build a theater for a bunch of kids. One of those, you can fund the whole after school programs for somebody with that. So let's do that.
Yeah. Some people have been critical of celebrities. We heard about Don Lemon, during the first few days when there were riots going on. He
Oh,
called.
Don, I didn't see you at the damn march. What you talking about?
All right, so let's play the tape. Watch it.
Where's the black leadership? I want to hear from everyone. I want to hear from the former president. I want to hear from the former first lady. And I already said I wanted to hear from the current president. I want to hear from the current president. I want to hear a message of hope. What do we do? I am a cable news anchor, and I am trying to figure out what we do. I can't not be the only person, the only voice who are calling for people to come together and who's calling for peace.
And, he actually mentioned some specific names, and he was saying that he called out celebrities who remain silent.
I couldn't hear a word.
Oh.
I couldn't hear a word you said. But,
okay. Well, let me give you the recap. You want me to give you the recap?
Sure.
He basically was saying that celebrities who remain silent, and he attributed it to their fear of tainting their reputation or their businesses. And so he, called out Oprah, he called out Drake, he called a few. So what do you think about him doing that? Because he can't possibly
I appreciate the gesture.
Okay.
I hear what Don is saying. I know Don. I hear what he's saying. But oftentimes I think how you deliver the message is probably more important than the message itself. Let's get out of the habit of calling people out.
Right.
Yeah. And let's just make a habit of just calling people. If you have something that you want to organize, I'm pretty sure you could pick up the phone and reach Oprah. I'm pretty sure you can reach LeBron. I'm pretty sure you can reach anybody that you just named. And I'm happy that you're saying these things. The sentiment I love. But for me, I don't like calling people out. Yeah. I'd rather just call you and go, brother, let's unify. Sister, let's go do this, because we don't need to be putting each other on a hot plate. That's dismantling the unity that we need to have. This got to be a collective, peaceful effort of progression. So let's do that. Let's practice that. Let's not be crabs in a barrel. Let's let's pick up phone calls and call each other. I don't need to out nobody. You don't out another brother. I wouldn't out him like that. Like, yo, just pick up a phone, Don. Holler at them. And then if they don't get on the phone, and at some point, then put that pressure on them. But in the meantime, let's collect the ones that's ready to go do something and make some change. And let's go, use your platform, and I'll use my platform, and everybody use their platform to go make change. That's what's important. And let's not be distracted with that.
Right. Yeah, there's so many distractions. Dave Chappelle, your boy, Dave Chappelle, he clapped back in his special 846, and he spoke about what Don did. And Chappelle said, why would anyone care what their favorite comedian thinks after they saw a police officer kneel on a man's neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds? Take a look at the clip.
Well, thank you all for coming. I want to shout out all the young people who have had the courage to go out and do all this amazing work protesting. I am very proud of you. You kids are excellent drivers. I am comfortable in the back seat of the car. So carry on, young ones.
So he said he's comfortable being in the back seat of the car and letting the young people lead. In addition to, in this special, he talked about Don Lemon calling people out, and he, was saying that glad he didn't call my name. So what, you see both sides? You see what Dave Chappelle had to say too?
Absolutely. Look, Dave is, Dave's a GOAT, man. So, I love the fact that he came right out and that he talked about it. And I love the fact that, he was so earnest and so honest. And it was like half, what was special about it was half funny and just half so damn real that you really had to embrace what he had to say and the things and topics and, his position. And I get what he's saying, because as comedians, we go, what's funny? We go, what's funny about this? And you know what's funny? This is so hard that we, as comedians, are struggling to find the funny.
Yeah.
Because some things just ain't funny. It's too real right now for it to be funny. So we have to address the reality of it. We have to embrace this. Maybe 5 years from now, we'll go, or 2 years from now, we'll go, oh, it was funny about that? But it ain't going to be funny until we have some change. I
Right.
don't want to be here smiling and this and that. No, 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 no. The scariest thing is when a comedian ain't got nothing funny to say.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, so what role should celebrities play then? Like, you know, in the 60s, it was Harry Belafonte, it was Ozzie Davis, Ruby Dee, Sammy Davis Jr., Sidney Poitier, of course, Eartha Kitt and Lena Horne. So who are going to be our leaders now in the celebrity
Um,
world?
I think, we as creatives, arts always help when it comes to leading revolution. You know what I mean? And it wasn't just with us. If you look at, art is always an important part of revolution. You could date back to the Roman Empire and look at all the beautiful artwork that was created back then. It's like we have to use our platforms to push forward the agenda and the message. And it has to be more celebratory of ourselves, of Black people, of today and the past. I think we have to be a megaphone for the youth. We have to be examples for the youth. They may want to riot. We have to help them channel their energy into a place that can be effective, like a laser beam. Don't just be a light that's distracting. Take that light and become a laser. What's our objective? To make change. We want, so, some legislation. We want the system to change. So that's what our efforts are going to be toward. And I am going to be a megaphone and a representative for you because, hey, it may be hard for you to go sit down with the Bidens and the Trumps of the world, but it's not hard for me and 100 other brothers like me to knock and go, hey, can I holler at you for a second? Can I
Right.
get your ear? And there's been a lot of presidents before this. This isn't a new thing. Hopefully this will be the last president to deal with this because the next one coming in will actually make a change.
Mm, mm, okay. All right, you mentioned a little bit earlier about you having some experiences, and you know a lot of police officers that you're friends with and that are good cops. But you also mentioned that you had some experiences too. And you know, Jay Farrow, who is actually from my hometown, he went to Indian River, so he's from Chesapeake, Virginia, which is close by where I am now. He talked about his experience where he was jogging in LA, and then guns blazing pointed at his head. They
Jay's a
mistook him.
friend. Jay's a
Okay,
friend.
let's take
And
a
I
look.
love,
Take a look at the
okay.
clip and then we'll come on the other side.
I literally could have been George Floyd. We, as a country, can't breathe anymore. And we are tired. We are sick and we are tired of it. I can't breathe!
Yeah, it was just really powerful. He put
That's
this on.
absolutely powerful.
Yeah, he put it on his IG, but he also was narrating because I guess there was a video of him being stopped by the police officers and them kneeling on his neck and pointing the guns at him. And what is your reaction to what he went through and him sharing his story?
I think it's traumatic and it's sad that he went through it. And, as a friend, my heart goes out to him. Although I will say, he do look a little bit suspicious. When he comes to my house, I often frisk him when he leaves to see if he stole any spoons. But I'm joking. But listen, we've all been through that, man. Like
Mm.
it's hard being a Black man in America. Like I talked about this on my special Wokish. I talked about trying to teach my son how to speak appropriately to the cops.
Mm.
And when they pull him over, and I sound like an old slave that didn't know he had his freedom. You know what I mean? It's like it makes you like, don't you look at him, don't you
Right,
sass
right,
him, don't
right.
him in.
Oh no, Marlon, come back. Okay, there you go. I lost you.
Obviously, it
There you
didn't
go.
work. But for me, I've been through that. When they came to the car with the guns blazing, I'm like, yo, for what? Like, don't just come knock on the door. Why you got your hand on your gun? I'm not. I mean, I don't even know why you put me over. First of all, second of
Right.
all, and it's not every cop. There's been situations. There's been about 10 situations. They pull me over. They look at me and go, I told you it was him. Come on, hey man, my daughter loves you. Can I get your autograph? They're just behind me, and they're fans of my work. There's been sometimes I remember one time I went through I was speeding a little bit. Cop pulled me over. You know, Mr. Wayans, you're not supposed to go on that fat. I know. I'm sorry. I was trying to get to my show. Okay. Can you do me a favor? Yes, sir. Can you slow down? I promise I will. So I admit it. I was in the wrong, and they let me off. So I've had a lot more good experiences than bad experiences, but that's me because I'm famous and it's different. But maybe if I wasn't me, it'd be a lot harder. And you know, so and I get that. And so, you know, I because when they don't know you, it's hard. It's tough and it's scary. Nothing scarier than somebody pulling you over with their guns drawn.
Right.
Like that, because you know, all he could trip on a rock and that thing go off in your life, you're gone. I just want to get home to my kids. That's all.
Yeah.
And so I think it takes empathy, and I think we have to know who we're putting in uniform. But when they pull you over, I always say, you know, we have to make sure that we do the best that we can. You know, we need a group of laws. You know, we need a protocol. What am I supposed to do? What are they supposed to do? And we need to abide by those. And we need to be respectful to one another. And because we all want to get out of this situation alive.
Yeah.
So just, you know, I get sad when I see brothers who comply, do everything that they asked to do, and they still wind up getting shot. I seen this one cop, literally, it was like he was playing like a crackhead version of Simon Says with a brother. Get your hands up in the air. Get on the floor. Give me 10 jumping jacks. Crawl with me. Left foot first, right foot second. And he still shot this brother.
All right.
And I'm just like, you know, that's just a bad person. Even a bad guy, that's a bad person. Stop putting racists in uniforms, and let's not make every cop a racist. So it's a tricky game, man. Like, and my boy Jeff, who I've known, he's like a brother to me. You know, it's sad because he's a cop, and that's a hard job. And I pray for him, and I pray for his protection because that's my brother, that's my friend. I have other friends I grew up with that are cops. And I don't want nothing to happen to them. They put their life on the line every day to try and save lives. Some of them are heroes, and some of them are butt things.
I see you there.
It's just trying to weed out the bad apples, man.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that'll help.
Have you talked to Jeff? Have you gotten his perspective on what he thinks about everything?
Yeah, man, he hits me. I hit him once a week, man. And he hits me, and he's like, "Man, it's crazy." And he's just like, you know, people are hurting, and he gets that because he's from, you know, Jeff is from the hood. He's of the hood, so you understand because there was, you know, he used to deal with cops as a civilian beforehand. So when he became a cop, he had empathy, and so when he talked to Jeff, you know, you ever see him talk to somebody? He diffuses the situation real cool. He's a pro. He's a pro. And, you know, but you have to think outside of that uniform, they're people too. And they got jobs. And so I don't want to hate every cop because that makes me not a good person. You know what I'm saying? So it's the bad cops gotta go. The good ones, give them a raise. You know, give the good ones, keep them. The good ones, let them train the next ones. You know, because we need some law and order, but I don't think we got to be public enemy number one. And that's the thing. That's what has to change. Because when I see brothers do less than what some of these white kids do, and I seen a white kid grab a police taser, tase the cop, get in his car, drive away, come back, smash the police car, and he walked away. If that was a brother, he would have looked like they would have shot him so many damn times. And that's not fair. So it has to be equal playing ground.
Yeah. Back up a little bit, Marlon. You were talking to your son, and I'm going to skip around a little bit. You know, we both have sons, and we've had that conversation with them. And you know, they have a fender bender. You're on the phone, and you're trying to coach them and saying this, that, the other. And of course, you talk to them beforehand and explain, you know, 10 and 2 with your hands and everything. But I saw this interesting videotape of this young man, a 10-year-old kid named Elijah, and he lives in an upscale neighborhood in Connecticut. And this is what happened when he was just chilling. His dad happened to be videotaping, I guess, getting shots of him shooting hoops. And he was right in his driveway. Take a look at this video. Could you see it, Marlon?
That's sad.
I mean, he's
Yeah,
10.
He hid.
He hid behind his dad's car. He's 10 years old. And his dad later said, why'd you hide? And he said, because the cop car went by and it was the police who killed George Floyd. And this is a kid, you know, it's very sheltered. They don't let him see everything on TV. 10 years old in his driveway doing nothing wrong.
Yeah. It's scary. My kids fear them too, and they're 18 and 20. You know, but I always say, you know, try to be, and this is just as a human, try to listen, try to be a good communicator, try to be respectful. It's all about communication. Don't let it frustrate you, because in anger, all you're gonna do, you can either diffuse the situation or you can escalate it. Try to diffuse situations, because it's not an argument when one person is, you know, you make sure your conduct is as good as it can be, you know, and that's the best protection that you can have right now, is to make sure that your conduct, that your paperwork, that hey man, that you obeyed the laws, and, you know, then that comes back on him and he got to be reviewed, you know. But for you to, you know, and hey, Siri, they have this app, the shortcut app. Hey, you go, hey Siri, I'm being pulled over. And Siri will videotape you being pulled over. And then you can send that to the captain. And until we get other protocols put in place, you know, it's a damn shame. And it's sad, because there was a point in life where kids wanted to be cops. You know, it was like, that was your neighborhood hero. See, that's what they did with us back in the day. I grew up in the projects, but we had links to the 10th precinct. The 10th precinct would give the kids Christmas. We didn't have money for Christmas. They would give us a big Christmas thing, and they were involved in the community. I knew the cops by first name. They knew me. If I got in trouble or whatever, or, you know, they pull me, don't hang with that bunch. Okay. Like, that's what we need. We need more community binding, you know what I mean? And we need to, you know, there's so much that needs to go on, man, so much. And, you know, but it's one thing at a time and one individual at a time. And we really need some new laws put in place, because it's hurtful, man. It's hurtful. I've cried more about people I didn't know this year than people that I did know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That George Floyd tape, I cried. You know, the brother in Atlanta, I cried. You know, and when are they gonna get George Zimmerman? Like, you know, we let that one go. When are we gonna get him? When does he have to pay the piper?
And Breonna Taylor, you know, the young girl who was a nurse, who was helping people on the front lines of COVID in her own house. And, you know, the defense is supposed to be stand your ground, which is what Zimmerman got away with, because the cops came in there without any badges. They were plain clothes. Search warrant, a knock search warrant. It's just crazy. It's just, you know.
Things got to change. All
right. I got to get to this, because are you still a Steelers fan? Do you still like football? Still?
Always. Don't worry. I wish good things on Russell. Don't worry.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
By the way, you remember I tweeted about your nephew years ago, Russell Wilson, years ago, when you asked me to. You said, "Can you tweet about my nephew's in the draft?" And I tweeted. Russell may not remember it, but I was probably his first tweet.
I remember it, and I appreciate that, because you were like, "Is he the truth?" I was like, "Of course he's the truth."
From and I did it, and he's the truth.
It's the truth. Okay, so let's get to this whole, you know, Kaepernick thing. What did you think about Goodell's statement?
I thought a little too late. I appreciate the gesture, but I always felt like he caved in to the to that message that Cap was sending was an important message, and it wasn't about the flag. And that's what people have to understand. Like, if black people didn't love America, we wouldn't be here.
Right?
Like, we love it more than anything because we're the abused one in the relationship, yet we're still here after all the abuse. Yeah, we love this country. That's without saying. But there's not equality. And until there is, hey man, I'm gonna take a knee.
Mm.
Sing an anthem that I can be proud of because this one does not represent me. All the brothers going to war for this country, I feel bad for because they come back from war and they're treated like dirt. And that's not cool. And that happened in the Civil War, and that happened in the Vietnam War, and it's just sad. And that it has to stop. And I think Roger Goodell, I appreciate that, but every owner needs to allow those brothers to express and use that platform. They can throw as much money as they want, but there's nothing more powerful than watching people kneel because they don't because of what's happening to us as a people. No, I'm not going to put my hand on my chest and sing the national anthem until that means something for me. It doesn't.
Right.
So
Well,
I think I think all the owners, including I think the Cowboys owner Jerry's going to have to give in and let those brothers express what they need to express. Because outside those uniforms, they are people. The uniform that we wear is black skin. So I'm going to represent that before I represent silver and blue. And until we get the equal treatment, hey, find me.
got
Sue
it.
me, but I need this message to hit everybody. But this is not about the flag, and everybody knows it's not about the flag. People marching with us, they all know. That's just something that people are throwing out there just as a diversion, but it's not. It's not. It's just a
Yeah.
reason to be racist. This is nothing to do. This isn't a black and white issue. This is a black and green issue. It's a black and whatever suits they wear in Washington. That's what we need to attack.
Yeah.
That needs to change. The system needs to change, and we need to start grooming young. Like, I look at the educational system. Public school versus private schools. We're not. It's supposed to be like if a race starts out and you're on the same starting line. It's not that way. A lot of these kids have head starts, and we're all the way back here. And our whole life we spend playing catch up.
Right.
And it's,
Yeah.
Imagine if we had equal footing. That's
Yeah.
all. And, we're what I love about our people is we're very forgiving. We're very hopeful.
Too forgiving, though? Are we too forgiving?
No,
Okay.
I think that's godlike, man. That's why we grow at the rapid pace that we grow at, because I think forgiving hearts are the strongest ones. And there's nothing wrong with that. That we've been through it and we're still here. And look at where we've come. Look how far we've come, and look how much further we need to be. There's no such thing. I've watched, parents forgive people for killing their child. And to me, that's the strongest, most godlike gesture ever. Because you can forgive, but I can't help the wrath that God's going to put on you.
Right. Right. Okay. Doing a little preaching, Marlon. Okay.
Well,
All right.
I did that and I didn't curse, so you owe me some money.
I owe you money. Okay. I'm not done yet. I still have some more questions. Can I take a sip of my?
You talk a lot. Where's your husband? He got to do some talking here.
You know what?
Come and get your wife.
I got a couple more questions, Marlon.
Go
Come
for it.
on. All right.
I'm sleepy, girl.
Stick with me. It's early in California. Okay. So Kaepernick. Now Goodell's saying, yeah, we'd love him to join the NFL, and there's some rumors that he might be going to the Chargers. Mm-hmm. What do you think?
I think I think he should have been playing. I think there was a lot of quarterbacks out there that he could have replaced and done a much better job. I think, they blackballed that man, and that's not fair. And they try to make an example out of him. And you know what? Here's the beauty. Life is the greatest teacher. They all learned a valuable lesson. And, if they're smart, they put that brother in a jersey and let him do what he's going to do.
Any final thoughts? Because you're tired.
I think lead with love and just trust that love's going to happen whether it's today, tomorrow. I look at what, all those brothers that lost their lives for, our civil rights. They're, even in their death, we still celebrate them. We don't celebrate the people that shot them.
Right.
We don't celebrate hate. We celebrate optimal love. So lead with love and let that be your first step, second step, and third step. And in order to make change, let it be peaceful and let it be passionate and let it be creative. Allow yourself to be creative in these times and figure out how, as artists, as people, as politicians, we can all make things and right and make change.
This is the longest conversation we've ever had.
I never talked this long to anybody.
Hey, you know what?
I was with a woman for 20 years. I have 2 children from her. I have never talked to her this long in my life.
Well, maybe that's what you need to start doing, Marlon. I'm just saying.
My mama talked this much in 5 minutes, and I go, I gotta go.
Okay. Well, I just want to say thank you so much. And you do have a good heart. We talked about your heart. You have a good heart. I wish you blessings in your career. I wish you good health. And I want to just thank you so much for answering my text and speaking with me today and talking to all.
Watch out for Aretha Franklin's movie, the biopic Respect, comes out Christmas this year. And also look for the romantic lead in that one. I'm also the romantic lead in a movie directed by Sofia Coppola, starring Bill Murray and Rashida Jones, called On the Rocks, and that'll be out later this year.
A romantic lead? You're not the comedy? Look at you.
Marlon trying to be somebody. Changing the game, girl. Changing the game. I think I got this beard. They got this beard and this low haircut for nothing.
Look at you. All right. Well, thank you so much. Stay around because I want to say something to you. Just a quick one-on-one, okay?
Cool.
All right, cool. All right. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Remember to take the first step. You have to have the conversation. It's imperative that we talk about things even in the midst of chaos. I'm April Woodard, and thanks for watching.